Hello there, how is your day going? Thank you so much for joining. Yeah, I will try there. How is your day going, Mala? Afu. Hi, lovely Afu. Thank you so much for joining me, Afu. Hurry up, guys, to join the stream, make the like and subscribing to the channel. Having a lot of love and respect for you joining to the stream, guys. Your person have to write your name in the chat, guys. How are you, pretty Apple? Thank you so much for joining to the stream, pretty Apple. I wish you write my first name. Yeah, Apple. I'm writing your first name there. Thank you. How are you, Tarai? Thank you so much for joining to the stream. Arham, thank you so much for joining. Brash, how are you, dear Bra? Thank you so much for joining to the stream. Arham, how are you, dear Arham? I tell you something. What Apple? Arham, how are you, dear Arham? Thank you so much for joining to the stream, dear Arham. How is your day going, Arham? Yeah, Guerrero, how are you, dear Guerrero? Thank you so much for joining to the stream, dear Guerrero. Alina, how are you, dear Alina? Thank you so much for joining, dear Alina. How is your day going, dear Alina? Thank you so much for joining to the stream. Leo, how are you, dear Leo? Thank you so much for joining to the stream, dear Leo. Having a lot of love and respect for you joining, dear Leo. Every single person do like and subscribing to the channel, guys, and also to spread your love on the screen. Afu, what you was telling there? Jody, how are you, Jody? Thank you so much for joining to the stream, dear Jody. Thank you so much for joining my stream. I have a lot of love and respect for you joining, for watching. Stala, how are you, pretty Stala? Thank you so much for joining, pretty Stala. How are you, pretty Stala? Thank you so much for joining my stream, my love. I have a lot of love and respect for you joining. Every single person making the like and subscribing to the channel, guys, and appreciate my stream, guys. Every single person have to write your name, guys. You are all the member are very respectful for me. Have to watch the screen, make the like and support on the stream. Thank you so much for being my family, and thank you so much for watching. Some people text me, she said wrong, talk me a word, said ignore the people. If you ignore the people, the people have to sad. You have just to look the people, they have how they say, and just laugh and ignore them. Yeah, never to keep on the mind. You have to always to try to ignoring the bad peoples. So and ignore the peoples that what they have to say. He message war oh he message you were wrong. Oh, that's worry about if he message you worry about. Always try to be positive with the people. And they have to something to say, you have to run. You have to always to keep away from the wrong people. Yeah. And they will always so have to more. Denala, thank you so much for joining and block her. Good. You have to do perfect. Denala, how are you, dear Denala? Thank you so much for joining to us, stream, dear Denala. How is your day going, dear Denala? Sahiba, how are you, Sahiba? Thank you so much for joining, dear Sahiba. Having a lot of love and respect for you joining, Sahiba. Every lovely people have to write your name in the chat and spread the love on the screen, guys. So thank you so much for joining to the stream, making the like and subscribing to the channel. Having a lot of love and respect for your journey, guys. Every single person. I'm Mary. How are you? I'm Mary. Thank you so much for joining, dear. I'm Mary. How is your day going, dear? I'm Mary. Live. How are you, Live? Thank you so much for joining, dear Live. How is your day going, dear Live? Having a lot of love and respect for your joining, my love. Every single person to write your name in the chat, guys, and spread the love on the screen. Leboni, how are you, Leboni? Thank you so much for joining, dear Leboni. Hurry up, guys, making the like and subscribing to the channel. I really appreciate and respect for your joining and to make the like and subscribe to the channel. Yeah, guys, you are very respectful for me, guys. Those have to watch my stream and spread the love on my screen and to do comments and make the like and also have to share the stream. Thank you so much for being there, guys. Every single person to write your name in the chat. Hurry up, guys. She said, where are you from? I say, for I not my friend. I'm not talking to you right because no, I do not know I'm your friend. You are my friend. Don't that the person. Oh, ignore them, dear Afu. Ignore them. You know the bad people is always remain bad. Yeah, they never be your friend. They never be the friend of someone's. They will always remain bad. They always think bad. They always do bad. Always. Yeah, really. I, and yeah, and try to ignore them, dear. Tahir, thank you so much for joining to us, stream, dear Tahir. How are you, dear Tahir? Thank you so much for the joining to us, stream. Hi, Ali. How are you, Ali? Thank you so much for joining, dear Ali. I'm so feel bad. It's a very bad message. I took a screenshot. Yeah, you have to take the screenshot, and I always have to judge the bad people's and you are the great lady. And he always watching live here. I think he will be watching there. How Amelia? How are you, dear Amelia? Thank you so much for joining, dear Amelia. Have a lot of love and respect for your joining, dear Amelia. Thank you so much for joining, dear Amelia. So guys, every single person to write your name in the chat and making the like and subscribing to the channel. And how is it possible? So he will be watching my stream. Jennifer, how are you, Jennifer? Thank you so much for joining to a stream, Jennifer. How are you, Jennifer? And thank you so much for joining. My friend, I'm good friend, and I respect and you always because you're my friend. Yeah, really, I have a lot of less respect for you and the other friends. They have to join and also talk with me, and they have to get relaxed and also they have to feel better to talk with me and also and they have to always Remsha, how are you, pretty Remsha? Thank you so much for joining to us, Rim, dear Remsha. Thank you so much for joining to us, Rim. I really appreciate and respect for your joining. Hurry up, guys. Do like and subscribing to the channel and to write your name in the chat, guys. But you tell bro, don't trouble my friends, please. Oh, sorry. I have to say, bro. Thank you for asking. I sorry. Yeah, you're my sister, like my sister. And Nana, how are you, dear? And Nana, thank you so much for joining. And Nana, how is your day going? And Nana, thank you so much for joining to the stream. Manu, how are you, dear Manu? Thank you so much for joining, dear Manu. Every single person to write your name in the chat. I love you so much. Thank you. Azura, how are you, pretty Azura? Thank you so much for joining, pretty Azura. How is your day going, dear Azura? Hurry up, guys, making the like and subscribing to the channel. Hurry up, guys, like the stream, share the stream, and also to support on the stream, guys. And thank you so much for joining to the stream. Alright, guys, can you do today a small donation on our stream, dear? Malia, how are you, dear Malia? Thank you so much for joining, dear Malia. Having a lot of love and respect for you joining. And Raul, how are you, dear Raul? Thank you so much for joining to the screen. You tell your subscriber, don't message another person. Yeah, guys, don't message to the another person, guys. It's a worry about. Mare, how are you, dear Mare? Thank you so much for joining, dear Mare. How are you, dear Mare? Having a lot of respect for you joining. Thank you, Jolly. Thank you so much for donating on my screen. Thank you so much, my dear. Having a lot of love and respect for you joining. How are you, Jolly? Thank you so much donating. And Jolly, you was Pinky promise I will send the laughing disco. You have to send the laughing disco today, dear. Joale, you have to send the laughing disco today, my dear. You know I want a laughing disco. Laughing disco is my favorite. You have to send the laughing disco, dear Rosie. Thank you so much for joining to us, Rosie. Having a lot of love and respect. Badr, how are you, Badr? Thank you so much for joining, dear Badr. Every single person to write your name in the chat. Netala, how are you, dear Netala? Thank you so much for joining to us, Netala. How are you, dear Natalia? Thank you so much for joining to us, and Jao, you should have to Alia. How are you, Alia? Thank you so much for joining, Alia. Ima, how are you, dear Ima? Thank you so much for joining, dear Emma. I have a lot of love and respect for you joining, dear Emma. Shamsi, how are you, dear Shamsi? Thank you so much for joining my stream. Yeah, guys, making the like and subscribing to the channel. Hui, how are you, 15? Thank you so much for joining to a stream, Hui 15. How are you, dear? Thank you so much for joining to a screen. And Falan, how are Falan? How are you, Falan? Thank you so much for joining, dear Falan. How are you, dear Falan? Anybody can send the laughing disco on the screen, guys. And Gabi, how are you, Gabi? Thank you so much for joining to a stream, Gabi. And Serene, how are you, pretty Serene? Thank you so much for joining to a stream, Serene. How are you, dear Serene? Every single person to write your name in the chat, guys. Having a lot of love and respect for you joining. Ale, how are you, Ale? Thank you so much for joining. Keep supporting me on the screen, guys. Serene, thank you, Serene. Every single person to write your name in the chat, guys, and spread the love and do the small donation on our stream, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. Encourage the likes, guys. Ayoni, how are you, Ayoni? Thank you so much for joining to stream, dear Ayoni. Having a lot of love and respect for you, Johnny. Honey, how are you, pretty honey? Thank you so much for joining, pretty honey. How is your day going, pretty honey? Thank you so much for joining to stream, dear honey. Every single person do like and subscribing to the channel. Elion, how are you, dear Elion? Thank you so much for joining to us, stream, Elion. How are you, dear Elion? Have a lot of love and respect for you joining. Every single person to write your name in the chat. And Darim, how are you, Darim? Thank you so much for joining, dear and Darim, how are you, Darim? Thank you so much for joining my Setarim, Darren. Darren, can you do the super chat or send the laughing disco on my screen, my dear Darren? Kalra, how are you, Kalra? Thank you so much for joining to Setarim, dear Kadira, thank you so much for joining, Kadira. Katley, how are you, Katley? Thank you so much for joining, dear Katley. Thank you so much for joining my Setarim. Faka, how are you, Faka? Thank you so much for joining to us, Setarim, dear Faka. Everybody, make the like and subscribing to the channel and to send the beautiful gift on the screen, guys. Thank you so much for joining every single person to write your name in the chat, yeah, guys, and spread the love on the screen. Hurry up, guys, do like and subscribing to the channel. Sadar, how are you, Sadar? Thank you so much for joining to sharing. Neuras, how are you, dear Neuras? Thank you so much for joining, dear Neuras. Thank you so much for the joining, dear Neuras. Ali, how are you, dear Ali? Thank you so much for joining to Setarim, Ali. How is your day going, dear Ali? Amin, how are you, Amin? Thank you so much for joining to us, Setarim, dear Amin. Write my name, Fioga. How are you, dear Fioga? Thank you so much for joining, dear Fioga. Where are you from watching, dear Fioga? Thank you so much for joining. Safo, how are you, dear Safo? Thank you so much for joining my Setarim, dear Safo. Having a lot of love and respect for you joining to us, Setarim. Every single person. Nika, how are you, dear Nika? Thank you so much for joining my Setarim, dear Nika. Having a lot of love and respect for you joining. Maga, how are you, dear Maga? Thank you so much for joining. Thank you, thank you. Can you do the small donation, Malali Safa? Can you send the beautiful gift on the screen, manner? Having a lot of love and respect for you joining. Every single person to write your name in the chat, guys. Having a lot of love and respect for you joining to Setarim. Rick, how are you, dear Rick? Thank you so much for joining, Rick, once again. Every single person. Leah, how are you, dear Leah? Lala, thank you so much for joining to Setarim, pretty Lala. Having a lot of love and respect for you joining, dear Lala. Thank you so much for joining my Setarim, dear Lala. Every single person, do like and subscribing to the channel. Satan, how are you, dear Satan? Thank you so much for joining my Setarim, dear Satan. Marina, how are you, dear Marina? Thank you so much for joining to Setarim, dear Marina. Having a lot of love and respect for you joining to Setarim. Atariz, how are you, Atariz? Thank you so much for joining to Setarim there. Biorak, how are you, dear Biorak? Thank you so much for joining to Setarim, dear Biorak. Having a lot of love and respect for you joining. Hector, how are you, dear Hector? Thank you so much for joining, dear Hector. Thank you so much for joining. Roya, how are you, dear Roya? Thank you so much for joining, dear Roya. Having a lot of love and respect for you joining, dear Roya. Hurry up, guys, making the like and subscribing to the channel. Alright, guys, and also I want to know from the area and the lovely person, where are you from watching that screen? Ashilin, how are you, dear Ashilin? And thank you so much for joining to Setarim, dear Ashilin. At Teresa, how are you, at Teresa? Thank you so much for joining to Setarim, dear at Teresa. Right, guys, to making the like and subscribing to the channel and spread the love on the screen, guys. I want to know from the area and the lovely person, where are you from watching the screen? Drop the flag of your country. Alex, thank you so much for joining to Setarim, Alisa. Twice, how are you? Twice. Thank you so much for joining to Stream. Christy, how are you, dear Christy? Thank you so much for joining to Stream, Christy. Hurry up, guys, making the like and subscribing to the channel. Single person, do like and subscribing to the channel. Thank you. Welcome, Teresa. Thank you so much. Every single person, do like and subscribing to the channel. Oh, thank you. Thank you for sending Sator. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, my dear. Thank you. Krista, can you send me the laughing disco, my dear? Krista, you have to send me the laughing disco, my dear, please. Krista, you have to send. You know that laughing disco is my favorite. You have to send me the laughing disco, pretty. Thank you so much, my dear. Thank you. Sorry, I don't down. Oh, no worry, no worry, no worry. Thank you so much for sending me Sator. Every single person, do like and subscribing to the channel and write your name in the chat, guys. Thank you so much for joining. Lexi, how are you, pretty Lexi? Thank you so much for joining, dear Lexi. How is your day going, dear Lexi? Thank you so much for joining to the stream. Every single person, do like and subscribing to the channel. Yeah, guys, send the beautiful get on the screen, guys. How is your day going, Lexi? And thank you so much for joining my stream there. Lexi, can you send me the laughing disc on my screen, pretty Lexi? Lexi, sorry. Yeah, guys, every single person to make the like and subscribing to the channel. Larry, how are you, dear Larry? Thank you so much for joining, dear screen to screen, dear Larry. Thank you so much for joining to stream, dear Larry. Have a lot of love and respect for your joining. Every single person, do like and subscribing to the channel. Yeah, guys, drop the flag of your country where are you from watching the screen and spread the love and just hide on the screen. I will write your name in the chat, guys. Every single person just hide on the screen. I will write the name of the all of the lovely people on the yeah. Hurry up, guys, do like and subscribing to the channel. Thank you so much for being there, guys. You are all are very very respectful for me. And thank you so much for joining to the stream, guys. Kabir, how are you, dear Kabir? Thank you so much for joining to the stream, dear Kabir. Having a lot of love and respect for you joining to the stream. Inoski, how are you, dear Inoski? Thank you so much for joining to the stream, Inoski. How are you, dear Inoski? Thank you so much for joining my stream, Inoski. Alright guys, Ashile, how are you pretty Ashile? Thank you so much for joining to us stream, dear Ashile. Having a lot of love and respect for you joining to the stream, guys. Yeah guys, tapping the screen and sharing the live, and also to surprise you a lot on the screen, guys. Sophian, how are you, dear Sophian? Thank you so much for joining to the screen, dear Sophian. Having a lot of love and respect for you joining to the stream, dear Sophian. Hurry up guys, making the like and subscribing to the channel. Right guys, I really appreciate and respect for you joining to the stream, guys. Thank you so much for joining, guys. Keep tapping and keep joining and keep sharing. Abdullah, how are you, dear Abdullah? Thank you so much for joining to the stream, dear Abdullah. Jolene, how are you, dear Jolene? Thank you so much for joining, dear Jolene. Having a lot of love and respect for you joining. Esme, how are you, dear Esme? Thank you so much for joining, dear Esme. Megan, how are you, dear Megan? Thank you so much for joining to the stream, dear Megan. Right guys, every single person make the like and subscribing to the channel, to write your name in the chat, guys. How are you, Alize? Thank you so much for joining, dear Alize. How are you, pretty Alize? Thank you so much for joining to the stream. Saline, how are you, dear Saline? Thank you so much for joining, dear Saline. Have a lot of love and respect for you joining. Marcus, how are you, Marcus? Thank you so much for joining to the stream, dear Marcus. Keep sharing, guys. Keep tapping and keep sharing and keep joining. Thank you so much for joining to the stream. Shari and Shari Paul, how are you, Shari Paul? Thank you so much for joining to the stream. Ali, how are you, dear Ali? Thank you so much for joining, dear Ali. How is your day going, Ali? Thank you so much for joining to us, my dear. Alright guys, Marcel, Marcel, how are you, dear Marcel? Thank you so much for joining to us, dear Marcel. Salevi, how are you, dear Salevi? Thank you so much for joining, dear Salevi. And I need to Arol, thank you so much for joining, dear Arol. How is your day going, dear Arol? Thank you so much for joining. Thank you so much for joining. Dab, thank you so much for liking and subscribing. Thank you so much, my dear. Talha, how are you, dear Talha? Thank you so much for joining to us, dear Talha. Every single person do like and subscribing. My day is good. How are you, Dab? What's you doing right now? Thank you so much for joining my stream, dear Dab. Have a lot of love and respect for you joining, dear Dab. Hurry up, guys, making the like and subscribing to the channel. Siafo, how are you, Siafo? Thank you so much for joining, dear Siafo. Every single person to write your name in the chat, guys. Thank you so much for joining to the stream, dear Dab. Are you watching my stream? Thank you so much for joining my stream, dear Dab. My birthday and 3 years ago. Please write my name. Santagio, how are you, dear? Thank you so much for joining my stream. Happy birthday to you, dear. Santagio, how are you, Santagio? Thank you so much for joining to the stream, dear. Fan, how are you, dear Fan? Thank you so much for joining to the stream, dear Fan. Every respected member have to write your name in the chat, guys. A lot of love and respect for your joining to the stream, guys. Thank you so much for being there. Every respected member to write your name in the chat. Sunday, how are you, Sunday? Thank you so much for joining to the stream, making the like and subscribing to the channel, guys. Yusuf, how are you, dear Yusuf? Thank you so much for joining, dear Yusuf. Fan, thank you so much, fan. Alright guys, I'm making the like and subscribing to the channel. Every respected member has to encourage the likes of the screen, guys. Yeah, and thank you so much for your joining. Asiya, how are you, dear Asiya? Thank you so much for joining, pretty Asiya. Have an Allah. Oh, thank you so much for sending me a heart. Really, thank you so much, Skippy. Thank you so much for sending me a heart, dear. Have a lot of love and respect, Skippy. Thank you so much. Skippy, can you send me the laughing disco, please, my dear? Thank you so much, dear Skippy. Have a lot of love and respect, my dear. Thank you. God bless you, dear. Have a lot of love and respect. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for sending me the heart. God bless you, dear Ava. Thank you so much for joining, Ava. Thank you so much. Skippy, if you do send me the laughing disco, I will write your name on the sticky note. Yeah, you have to send me a laughing disco. Let's send me the laughing disco. I will write your name on. I will write your name on the sticky note. Ava, how are you, Ava? Thank you so much for joining to the screen. As, how are you, dear As? Thank you so much for joining my stream. Barox, thank you so much for joining to the stream, dear Barox. Thank you so much for joining, dear Barox. How is your day going, dear? Thank you so much for joining my stream. Every single person to write your name in the chat, guys. Justice, thank you so much for joining to the stream, Justice. How are you, dear Justice? Thank you so much for joining to the stream. Daniel, how are you, dear Daniel? Thank you so much for joining to the stream, dear Daniel. Aurora, how are you, dear Aurora? Thank you so much for joining to the stream, dear Aurora. Padro, how are you, dear Paro? Thank you so much for joining, dear Padro. How are you, dear Paro? Thank you so much for joining, dear Padro. Zigig, how are you, Zigig? Thank you so much for joining, dear Zigig. Right, guys, I really appreciate and respect for your joining and spread the love and the suffering, guys. Thank you so much for joining, and it's a request from the Ivory and the Lottie person to write your name in the chat. Turkey, thank you so much for joining, dear Turkey. Hurry up, guys, to making the like and subscribing to the channel. Every single and respected member have to write your name in the chat, guys. Thank you so much. Ali, how are you, dear Ali? Thank you so much for joining to our stream. Ali, can you do the small donation on our stream? Click on the money icon to do a super chat on our stream. Spread the love and the suffering, my dear. Yeah, guys, Adam, thank you so much for joining to our stream, dear Adam. How are you, dear Adam? Hurry up, guys, making the like and subscribing to the channel. Fiore, how are you, Fiore? Thank you so much for joining to our stream, dear Fiore. Every single person to write your name in the chat. Sophia, how are you, pretty Sophia? Thank you so much for joining, dear Sophia. I have a respect and love for your joining. Thank you so much for joining to stream. Adelana, how are you, dear Adelana? Thank you so much for joining to stream, dear Adelana. I have a lot of love and respect for your joining. Lena, how are you, pretty Lena? Thank you so much for joining my stream, dear Lena. Lila, how are you, Lila? Thank you so much for joining, dear Lila. Where are you from watching, dear Lila? Thank you so much for joining, Lila. Thank you so much for joining, my dear. Afika, how are you, dear Afika? Thank you so much for joining, dear Afika. Marcos, how are you, Marcos? Thank you so much for joining to stream, dear Marcos. Yeah, guys, I really appreciate. Mar, how are you, Mar? Thank you so much for joining to us stream, dear Mar. Hurry up, guys. Florida, how are you, dear Florida? I have a lot of thank you so much for watching from Florida. Can you make the donation on our stream, my dear? Thank you so much for joining my stream. Mons, how are you, dear Mons? Thank you so much for joining to us, stream, dear Mons. Every single person, do like and subscribing to the channel and write your name in the chat, guys. Yeah, guys, have a lot of love and respect for your journey, and also to spread the love and the suffering. Oh, thank you so much for sending me a gift. Thank you so much. You send me the laughing disco, my dear. You have to send me the laughing disco, please. You have to send me the laughing disco, pretty Leila. You have to send me the laughing disco. I want a laughing disco. You know the laughing disco is my favorite. Today I want a laughing disco, my dear. Thank you so much for sending me a heart, but you have to send me the laughing disco to make my day, my dear. Thank you so much for sending me the heart. Having a lot of love and respect. You know the laughing disco is my favorite. And Sebas, how are you, Sebas? Thank you so much for joining to us, Terim, Sebas. How are you, dear Sebas? My sister Stephanie, how are you, Stephanie? Thank you so much for joining to us, Terim, Stephanie. Thank you so much for joining my stream, dear Stephanie. Ozone, thank you so much for joining to us, stream. Christina, how are you, Christina? Thank you so much for joining to us, stream, Christina. How are you, dear Christina? Thank you so much for joining to us, stream. Habis, how are you, dear Habis? Thank you so much for joining to us, stream, dear Habis. Having a lot of love and respect for you, joining. James, thank you so much for joining, James. How are you, dear James? Thank you so much for joining, dear. Every respecting member to send the laughing disco, guys. Ozone, how are you, Ozone? Thank you so much for joining to us, stream, Ozone. Skilly and Lean, thank you so much for joining to us, stream, Skilly. Thank you so much for joining. If anyone have to send me the laughing disco, I will write your name on the sticky notes. Yeah, guys, and thank you so much for joining to us, stream. Hurry up, guys, making the like and subscribing to the channel. Every respected member have to write your name in the chat, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. Keep tapping and keep joining. Ahmad, how are you, Ahmad? Thank you so much for joining, dear Ahmad. Every respected member have to make the like and subscribing to the channel, guys. And send me a laughing disco, guys. You know, and the laughing disco is my favorite. Maria, thank you so much for joining to us, stream, dear Maria. How are you, dear Maria? Thank you so much for joining to us, stream. Yeah, and Jacko, how are you, Jacko? Thank you so much for joining to us, stream, dear Jacko. How are you, dear Jacko? Thank you so much for joining to us, stream. Tamim, how are you, dear Tamim? Thank you so much for joining to us, stream, dear Tamim. Hurry up, guys, making the like and subscribing to the channel, and also to spread the love and the suffering, guys, to write your name in the chat. Have a lot of love and respect for your joining. Angel, how are you, dear Angel? Thank you so much for joining, dear Angel. How is your day going, dear Angela? Thank you so much for joining, dear Angela. Hurry up, guys, do like and subscribing to the channel. Thank you so much for joining to the stream, guys, making the like and subscribing to the channel. Keep sharing, guys, keep tapping and keep sharing. Nalan, how are you, dear Nalan? Thank you so much for joining to the screen, dear Nalan. How is your day going, Nalia? Thank you so much for joining to us, stream. Palak, how are you, dear Palak? Thank you so much for joining, dear Palak. Having a lot of love and respect for you joining to us, screen. Hurry up, guys, do like and subscribing to the channel. Mamista, how are you, dear Mamista? Thank you so much for joining to us, stream. Hurry up guys, making the like and subscribing to the channel. It's a Rekas from the area and the single person Guzman. How are you Guzman? Thank you so much for joining to us at Tarim Guzman. Tamur, how are you Tamur? Thank you so much for joining to us at Tarim dear Tamur. Who is going to send me a laughing disco on the screen guys, and yeah guys, to send the laughing disco and spread the love on the screen guys. Hurry up guys, making the like and subscribing to the channel. Murphy, how are you Murphy? Thank you so much for joining to the screen Murphy. How are you dear Murphy? Thank you so much for joining to the screen Murphy. Alexandra, how are you dear Alexandra? How are you Alexandra? Thank you so much for joining to Setarim, dear Alexandra. Have a lot of love and respect for you joining, dear Alexandra. Every single person to write your name in the chat, guys, to make the like and subscribing to the channel. Yeah guys, every single person to write your name in the chat, guys. It's a record from the area and the single person to write your name in the chat and spread the love on the screen, guys. Thank you so much for joining to the stream. Hurry up guys to send me the laughing disco. Have the beautiful gift on the screen, guys. Hurry up guys, making the like and subscribing to the channel. Having a lot of love and respect for you joining to Setarim. Septan, how are you dear Septan? Thank you so much for joining to Setarim, dear Septan. Hurry up guys to write your name in the chat. Every single person do like and subscribing to the channel. Talge, how are you Talge? Thank you so much for joining to Setarim, dear Talge. Every single person to write your name in the chat, guys, making the like and subscribing to the channel. Having a lot of love and respect for you joining to Setarim, guys. Hurry up guys to write your name in the chat. Keep sharing guys, tapping the screen, sharing the live, to write your name in the chat. Yeah guys, to write your name in the chat, guys. Thank you so much for joining. Ari, how are you dear Ari? Thank you so much for joining to the screen, dear Ari. Having a lot of love and respect for you joining to the Setarim. Adam, how are you dear Adam? Thank you so much for joining, dear Adam. Yeah guys, to write your name in the chat. And to write your name in the chat, guys, making the like and subscribing to the channel. Hurry up guys, don't spam guys. If you have to spam much more on the screen, then you will be get the time out on the screen, guys. Yeah, Fox, thank you so much for joining to us stream, dear Fox. Every single person to write your name in the chat. If someone has to has to spam on the screen, then he will be got the time out from the screen, guys. To write your name in the chat, having a lot of love and respect for you joining. Keep sharing guys, keep tapping and keep sharing and keep joining. Journey, how are you, Journey? Thank you so much for joining to us at Terim, dear Journey. How are you, Journey? Thank you so much for joining to us at Terim, dear Journey. Where are you from? Watching, dear Journey. Thank you so much for joining to us at Terim, dear Journey. Every single person making the like and subscribing to the channel and spread the love and the screen, guys, to send the beautiful get and the screen. Yeah, guys, and send laughing disco and some beautiful gift to send me on the screen. Hurry up, guys. Azar, how are you, Azar? Thank you so much for joining to us at Terim, dear Azar. Have a lot of love and respect for your joining. Hazal, how are you, dear Hazal? Thank you so much for joining to us at Terim, dear Hazal. Have a lot of love and respect for your joining. Jam, how are you, dear Jam? Thank you so much for joining, dear Jam. Thank you so much for joining my screen, dear Jam. Hurry up, guys, to writing your name in the chat and send a beautiful get on the screen to spread the love. Having a lot of love and respect for your joining. Alright, guys, and also drop the flag of your country. Where are you from? Watching the screen. Tana, how are you, Tana? Thank you so much for joining to us, Terim, Tana. Hurry up, guys, to write your name in the chat. Every single person to write your name in the chat, guys, making the like and subscribing to the channel. Derek, how are you, dear Derek? Thank you so much for joining, dear Derek. Where are you from? Watching, dear Derek. Thank you so much for joining, dear Derek. Every single person to write your name in the chat, guys, to making the like and subscribing to the channel. Devi, how are you, dear Devi? Thank you so much for joining to us, screen, dear Devi. How are you, Devi? Thank you so much for joining to us, screen, dear Devi. Jamina, how are you, Jamina? Thank you so much for joining to us, screen, Jamina. Keep sharing, guys. Keep tapping. Dalan, how are you, dear Dalan? Thank you so much for joining to us, Terim, Dalan. How is your day going, dear Dalan? Have a lot of love and respect for your joining, Dalan. Yvonne, how are you, Yvonne? Thank you so much for joining to us, screen, dear Yvonne. Have a lot of love and respect for your joining, Yvonne. At home, thank you so much for joining to us, Terim, at home. Hurry up, guys, making the like and subscribing to the channel, to write your name in the chat, guys. Every single person do like and subscribing to the channel. Having a lot of love and respect for your joining to Terim, guys. Afam, how are you, dear Afam? Thank you so much for joining to us, Terim, dear Afam. Have a lot of love and respect for your joining, dear Afam. Thank you so much for subscribing. Amy, how are you, dear Amy? Thank you so much for joining to us, Terim. Spencer, how are you, Spencer? Thank you so much for joining, dear Spencer. Amy, thank you so much for joining, dear Amy. How is your day going, dear Amy? Ayoni, how are you, dear Ayoni? Thank you so much for joining to us, Terim, dear Ayoni. I have to respect for your joining, dear Ayami. Stephen, how are you, dear Stephen? Thank you so much for joining, dear Stephen. Thank you so much for joining, dear Stephen. Hurry up, guys, making the like and subscribing to the channel. Ruby, how are you, dear Ruby? Thank you so much for joining, dear Ruby. Hurry up, guys, to make the like. Sarwan, how are you, Sarwan? Thank you so much for joining to us, Terim, Sarwan. Fija, how are you, dear Fija? Thank you so much for joining to us, Terim, dear Fija. Having a lot of love and respect for your joining. Manny, dear Manny, thank you so much for joining to us, Terim, dear Manny. Thank you so much for joining. Resma, how are you, Resma? Thank you so much for joining to us, Terim, Resma. Every single person do like and subscribing to the channel. Yeah, guys, having a lot of love and respect for your joining to Citterim, guys. Thank you so much for joining, guys. Every single person to write your name in the chat, guys. Sanin, how are you, Sanin? Thank you so much for joining to Citterim, dear Sanin. How are you, dear Sanin? Amiona, how are you, dear Amiona? Thank you so much for joining to Citterim, dear Amiona. Hurry up, guys. Mahan, how are you, Mahan? Thank you so much for joining to us, stream, dear Mahan. Dago, how are you, dear Dago? Thank you so much for joining to us, stream, dear Dago. Hurry up, guys, making the like and subscribing to the channel. Fusion, how are you, dear Fusion? Thank you so much for joining, Priya Fusion. Monkey, hi Monkey, thank you so much for joining to us, stream, dear Monkey. How is your day going, dear Monkey? Thank you so much for joining. And Sarah, hi Sarah, thank you so much for joining to us, stream. Antonio, how are you, Antonio? Thank you so much for joining to us, stream, Antonio. Thank you so much for joining. Monkey, where are you from watching, dear Monkey? Thank you so much for joining. Royce, how are you, Royce? Thank you so much for joining, dear Royce. Making the like and subscribing to the channel. Sarah, how are you, pretty Sarah? Thank you so much for joining, dear Sarah. Thank you so much for watching from USA. Monkey, having a lot of love and respect for your joining. Monkey, can you send the beautiful gift on the screen, my dear? Have like the laughing disco and to do super chat. Anything you can send us, my dear. If you wanna can donate. Nathan, how are you, dear Nathan? Thank you so much for joining to us, stream. Thank you so much for joining, Nathan. Hello, how are you? Hello, thank you so much for joining, dear. Hello. Hurry up, guys, making the like and subscribing to the channel. Terrorist, how are you, Terrorist? Thank you so much for joining to us, stream, Terrorist. Hurry up, guys, do like and subscribing to the channel. To write your name in the chat, guys. Making the like and subscribing to the channel, guys. Having a lot of love and respect for your joining to us, stream. Every single person do like and subscribing to the channel. Hurry up, guys, to write your name in the chat and double tapping on the screen, guys. You may now have to tapping the screen. The live has been boosted by tapping the screen and sharing the live. Hurry up, guys, to write your name in the chat. Alena, how are you, dear Alena? Thank you so much for joining to us, stream, dear Alena. How are you, dear Alena? Thank you so much for joining to us, stream, dear Alena. And Grete, how are you, Grete? Thank you so much for joining to us, stream, Grete. Thank you so much for joining to us, stream. Bilal, how are you, dear Bilal? Thank you so much for joining, dear Bilal. How are you, dear Bilal? Afrin, how are you, dear Afrin? Thank you so much for joining to us, stream. Thank you. Hurry up, guys, making the like and subscribing to the channel, and every single person to write your name in the chat, guys. Braxton, how are you, Braxton? Thank you so much for joining to us, stream, Braxton. How are you, Braxton? Having a lot of love and respect for you joining, Braxton. Issa, how are you, Issa? Thank you so much for joining to etc. Faros, how are you, Faros? Thank you so much for joining to etc. Faros. Hurry up, guys, making the like and subscribing to the channel. Banas, how are you, dear Banas? Thank you so much for joining to etc. dear Banas. Hurry up, guys. Sayon, how are you, dear Sayon? Thank you so much for joining, dear Sayon. Thank you so much for joining my etc. Every single person to making the like and subscribing to the channel. Hurry up, guys. Ali, thank you so much for joining, dear Ali. Having a lot of love and respect for you joining to the etc. Shanam, how are you, Shanam? Thank you so much for joining to etc. Shanam. Hurry up, guys, making the like and subscribing to the channel. Keep sharing, guys, keep tapping and keep sharing. Russia, how are you, Russia? Thank you so much for joining to etc. dear Russia. Having a lot of love and respect for you joining. Tagger, how are you, dear Tagger? Thank you so much for joining to etc. dear Tagger. Hurry up, guys, making the like and subscribing to the channel. Every respected member to write your name in the chat. That's Sapam, Evoni, that's Sapam. Where's, how are you, dear Where's? Thank you so much for joining, dear Where's. I have to respect for you joining, dear Where's. Amir, how are you, Amir? Thank you so much for joining to etc. Pasile, how are you, dear Pasile? Thank you so much for joining to etc. Pasile. How are you, pretty? Thank you so much for joining to etc. Pasile. Thank you so much for joining, pretty. I have to respect for you joining, Pasile. I write your name there. Every single person to make the like and subscribing to the channel. Tax, thank you so much for joining. Tax, have a lot of love and respect for your joining. Honor, thank you so much for joining to etc. Honor, welcome there. Thank you, Pasili. Can you do a super chat, Pasili? Thank you so much for joining to etc. Manner. John, thank you so much for joining to etc. Blossom, how are you, Blossom? Thank you so much for joining, dear Blossom. Having a lot of love and respect for you joining, dear Blossom. Thank you so much for joining. Every single person to write your name in the chat, guys, and make the like and subscribing to the channel, and to do a super chat and our set terrain, guys. Yeah, guys, to do a super chat and our set terrain to surprise your love and the suffering, guys. Hurry up, guys. Thank you so much, Alicia. How are you, pretty Alicia? Thank you so much for joining, dear Alicia. How are you, dear Alicia? Having a lot of love and respect for you joining to Citrine. Yeah, guys, I really appreciate and respect for you joining to Citrine. Anoop, I write your name, Anoop. Thank you so much for joining my Citrine, dear Anoop. Having a lot of love and respect for you joining. It's a recast from the array, and the respected member have to write your name in the chat, guys. Making the like and subscribing to the channel. Hurry up, guys, to write your name in the chat, guys. Thank you so much for joining. Tapping the screen. Gia, how are you, Gia? Thank you so much for joining to Stream. And Jarnio, how are you, Jarnio? Thank you so much for joining to Stream. Jaron, Emo, Jornimo, thank you so much for joining to Stream. Jornimo. Every single person to write your name in the chat, guys. Having a lot of love and respect for your joining. Thank you so much for joining my screen. Jad, how are you, Jad? Thank you so much for joining to us stream. Millie, how are you, dear Millie? Thank you so much for joining, dear Millie. How is your day going, dear Millie? Thank you so much for joining my stream. Asiya, how are you, dear Asiya? Thank you so much for joining to us stream. Helene, how are you, Helene? Thank you so much for joining to us stream, dear Helena. Having a lot of love and respect for you joining, dear Helena. Tessia, how are you, Tessia? Thank you so much for joining to stream, dear. Every single person to write your name in the chat, guys, making the like and subscribing to the channel, and also to send the beautiful gift on the screen, guys. Yeah, guys, send me a beautiful gift on the screen, guys, for the appreciation. Thank you so much for supporting me on the screen, guys. Hurry up, guys, to making the like and subscribing to the channel. Manhal, how are you, Manhal? Thank you so much for joining to us stream, dear Manhal. Minnahel, how are you, Minnahel? Thank you so much for joining, pretty Minnahel. Every single person to write your name in the chat, guys, and spread the love on the screen, to making the like and subscribing to the channel. Yeah, guys, send the laughing disco on the screen, guys. Yeah, guys, send the laughing disco on the screen. Every respected member have to write your name in the chat. Hurry up, guys, making the like and subscribing to the channel, to write your name in the chat, guys. Having a lot of love and respect for your joining. Keep sharing, guys, keep tapping and keep sharing and keep joining, guys. Having a lot of love and respect for your joining to such a room. Every single person do like and subscribing to the channel. Hurry up, guys. Terry, thank you so much for joining to such a room, dear Terry. How are you, dear Terry? Thank you so much for joining to such a room, dear Terry. Hurry up, guys, making the like and subscribing to the channel. Every respecting member to write your name in the chat, guys. Having a lot of love and respect for your joining. Yeah, guys, to write your name in the chat and spread the love on the screen, guys. And if someone can send the beautiful gift of the laughing disco. Yeah, guys, laughing disco is my favorite. If someone can to support me, to send the super chat and laughing disco on the screen, guys, to spread the love. Yeah, guys, to spread the love by laughing disco, and also to the super chat. Everybody, hurry up, guys. Hurry up to send me. How are you, Maria? Thank you so much for joining to us stream, dear Maria. How are you, dear Maria? Thank you so much for joining, pretty Maria. Sarah, how are you, Sarah? Thank you so much for joining, dear Sarah. How are you, cutie? Thank you so much for joining to us stream. Every single person to write your name in the chat, guys, and send the laughing disco, guys. Any Superman can send me in the laughing disco. Keep sharing, guys. Keep tapping and keep sharing and keep joining us. Ayoni, how are you, dear Ayoni? Thank you so much for joining to us, Terim, dear Ayoni. Having a lot of love and respect for you, joining Ayoni. Keep sharing, guys. Keep tapping and keep sharing and keep joining. Thank you so much for joining my screen, dear Ayoni. Having a lot of love and respect for you, Johnny. Hi, Alex. Thank you so much for joining to us at Tarimdar. Alexandra, how are you, Alexandra? Alexandra, thank you so much for joining. Rabish, how are you, Rabish? Thank you so much for joining to us at Tarimdar, Rabish. Fika, how are you, Fika? Thank you so much for joining to us at Tarimdar, Fika. Hurry up, guys, making the like and subscribing to the channel. I'm good, dear. How are you? How are you? ¿Cómo estás? Hanas, thank you so much for joining, Hanas. How are you, dear? How is your day going, Alexandra? Happy to see you, my dear. Mike, how are you, Mike? Thank you so much for joining to us, Mike. Having a lot of love and respect for you, Johnny. Hurry up, guys, making the like and subscribing to the channel. Every single person to write your name in the chat, guys. Hurry up, guys, do like and subscribing to the channel. Archie, how are you, Archie? Thank you so much for joining, dear Archie. How are you, Archie? Thank you so much for joining, Archie. Hurry up, guys, to write your name and Dodo. How are you, Dodo? Thank you so much for joining to us, stream. Where are you from watching, Archie? Samuel, thank you so much for joining to us, stream, Samuel. Lena, how are you, dear Lena? Thank you so much for joining, dear Lena. Having a lot of love and respect for you joining. Oh, you're from watching England. Thank you so much. Happy to see you there. How is your day going, Archie? Thank you so much for joining my screen from England. Bonnie, how are you, dear Bonnie? Thank you so much for joining, dear Bonnie. Keep sharing, guys. Keep tapping and keep sharing. Good morning, dear. Archie, are you watching my stream, dear? Oh, that's great. Have one great there. Archie, can you make a small donation on our stream there? Hurry up guys, making the like and subscribing to the channel. Ahura, how are you Ahura? Thank you so much for watching from Iran, Ahura. Archie, can you do a super chat on our stream there to make a small donation on our stream? Click on the money icon to do a super chat my there. Sonia, how are you Sonia? Thank you so much for joining there Sonia. Hurry up guys, making the like and subscribing to the channel. Having a lot of love and respect for your joining to stream guys. Keep sharing guys, keep tapping and keep sharing and keep joining. Lave, how are you Lave? Thank you so much for joining to stream Lave. Jordan, how are you Jordan? Thank you so much for joining to stream Jordan. Hurry up guys, every single person to write your name in the chat guys and spread the love and the suffering guys to do a super chat in our stream. Jordan, where are you from watching my lovely brother? Having a lot of love and respect for you joining dear Jordan. Thank you so much for joining Jordan, for watching my screen. Brando, how are you Brando? Thank you so much for joining to stream. Alicia, how are you Alicia? Thank you so much for joining to stream dear Alicia. Malini, how are you dear Malini? Thank you so much for joining to stream dear Malini. Having a lot of love and respect for you joining dear Malini. Anybody can send the laughing disco guys. Any person can send me the laughing disco. Tania, how are you, Tania? Thank you so much for joining, Tania. Where are you from watching, pretty? Tania, can you send me the laughing disco, pretty? Tanya, can you do the donation on our stream, pretty? Hurry up, guys. Anybody can send the laughing disco, guys. I want only one laughing disco, guys. Hajar, how are you, Hajar? I want only one laughing disco, guys. Any person can send the laughing disco at the arena. How are you there at the arena? Thank you so much for joining to the room at the arena. I have to want only one laughing disco. I will go off, guys. I need Superman to send the laughing disco. Hurry up, guys. Any Superman to send the laughing disco. Hurry up, guys. Asia, sorry, Asia, right, and Ali. Asia, sorry, Asia. Thank you so much for joining to stream. Tunsi, thank you so much for joining. Tunsi, thank you so much for joining there. Having a lot of love and respect for you, joining. Tunsi, can you send me the laughing disco? I want only one laughing disco right now. Any person have to send it right now, guys. Laughing disco. I want only one laughing disco, guys. Any Superman have to send the laughing disco, guys. Hurry up, please. Somebody who is going to send me the laughing disco. Only one laughing disco, guys. Yeah, send me the laughing disco. Salvi, how are you, Salvi? Thank you so much for joining this, Salvi. Who is going to sending me the laughing disco right now, guys? I want a laughing disco right now. To send the laughing disco on the screen. Any Superman have to send the laughing disco, and then I will go off. Thank you so much for joining to stream. Having a lot of love and respect for you joining to stream, guys. Who is going to send me the laughing disco, guys?